Are you saying that I'm not earning enough here?
Why would you say that? I mean, I never said that. Because of my husband's rage, which he had towards me, he turned the glass of water he was holding to me and tried to throw the entire glass at me. But probably because he was unable to control how drunk he was, he slipped his hand, dropped the glass on his own feet, and cried in agony. That's funny. What goes around comes around. Look, this is how you do it. Saying that, I took the glass of water which was in front of me and splashed the water as hard as I could onto my husband's face as he looked up at me.
What the hell are you doing?
I was just setting an example of what you wanted to do to me. My name is Penny, and I work as a nurse in a hospital. I met my husband Howard at the hospital. It all started when he was admitted to the hospital where I work. He had a broken arm and was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, but other than his broken arm, he was very healthy. He was such a positive person to talk to.
Nursing is an amazing job, isn't it?
Thank you very much.
Do the doctors ever treat you unfairly?
It never happened to me. I am blessed with a good environment getting to work here. Like this, Howard and I began to talk casually like that, and on the day he was to be discharged from the hospital, he asked me for my contact information as he blushed. To be honest, being a nurse isn't easy because we're really busy. The only opportunity for a female nurse to meet any men is mainly at work. It didn't take long for me to become aware of Howard's aggressive approach towards me. We exchanged contact information, and we went on many dates on our occasional days off, which eventually led up to our marriage. Before we got married, my husband had often mentioned that he wanted to have kids, but I was rather reluctant to do so. I am reluctant to have kids or a baby because I love my job, and I don't think I would be able to work as hard as I used to if we had kids. It's not that I don't like kids or babies. It's just that I don't have the concept in which marriage means having kids. Of course, I had told Howard about that beforehand, but he always said,
I want to have a baby, but I won't force you to have a baby because I want to prioritize your feelings first, Penny.
I want to also live up to my husband's desires too. But I am that type who takes time to do anything. I'm not that smart and smooth compared to some people. I told my husband that I wanted to think about having kids or a baby more later on. He asked me how long it would take for me to think about having kids, and I told him that I at least wanted about 3 years to think about it. And now, 3 years into our marriage, the time has come. But I was unfortunately involved in a car accident, and I was badly injured, with a total recovery time of 6 months. The car tire crushed my face and broke my right eye bone and my jaw. At the time of the accident, all I remember is that I felt a tremendous pressure on my face, but the next thing I knew when I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed.
Oh, I guess she regained consciousness.
I tried to talk to my dad, who was there, but I couldn't speak properly.
Your jaw is broken, so don't pressure yourself so much. The ethmoid bone is shattered, so they're going to take a look at it and fill it with artificial bone.
I nodded silently. Then I saw my husband rush into the hospital room.
Oh, Penny! I'm so glad. I'm really glad.
My husband had tears in his eyes.
I won't be able to live if anything happens to you, Penny.
I burst into tears as my husband said that to me. I couldn't speak, but I held my husband's hand tightly. In the end, after consulting with the hospital, it was decided that I would be placed on a 6-month leave of absence. But this was the beginning of how my husband's true nature was revealed. I was forced to stay in the hospital for 4 months, but I think I would have been happier if I stayed there. Because as soon as I got out of the hospital, my husband's attitude was completely different from what it had been before. I am on leave, and I am not a housewife. Yet, my husband treats me like a full-time housewife. And with my injuries still not fully healed, Howard still pressured me to take care of the house chores.
I'm home. What were you doing today?
I went to rehab today.
And?
Huh? Well, I was resting at home.
Did you do any house chores?
I did do some normal chores like laundry and cooking dinner.
Then what's for dinner today?
It's pasta and salad.
What? Why?
What do you mean, why?
I wanted to eat steak.
I was a little speechless with what Howard had said. To begin with, just because I was discharged from the hospital did not mean that my injuries were completely healed. I mean, my jaw still hurts, and I still feel some pain behind my eyes. At first, I was going to go back to my parents' house to rest and recuperate on my father's advice. But it was Howard who has said,
I will take care of Penny. I will make sure that she will be fine.
Believing his words, I returned to the house where I live with my husband, but he has not cared for me in any way, and for the past week I have been trying my best to take care of the house chores.
You're a housewife, you know, so you should get it done. Make sure you cook what the head of the family likes.
You know, I'm not really completely healed, you know? My jaw still doesn't work properly, so it's really still difficult for me to talk. And what was that? What you said to my father? Didn't you tell him that you would be taking care of me? And yet, for the past week, you've been treating me like your housekeeper, haven't you? And even in the midst of all this, I'm still doing my best to take care of things around the house, you know. You don't even seem to be grateful about that. If you were going to be like that, I wouldn't have come back here in the first place. I'm going to go back to my parents' house to rest. Then, suddenly, my husband began to panic.
Then it's okay. I'll have the pasta and salad.
That's not the point. I was accusing him of being inconsiderate with me. You really have no idea what I'm talking about, huh? You're hopeless. Until now, I thought that there was nothing wrong with my relationship with Howard. But when something irregular like this happens, I think that is when the true shape of a marriage is revealed. Seeing my husband like this, I felt that even if my injuries were completely healed and my life returned back normal, it would be impossible for me to continue my marriage with him now that I have found out about his true nature. Well, I'm going back to my parents' house.
Now, hold on a minute. Why?
I've explained this already, and you want me to explain to you again? You're being too inconsiderate. I'm not going to make a full recovery being with someone like that.
That's not good.
Right? It's not good if I can't fully recover, right? Then...
No. It's not good that you're going back to your parents' house.
What? You weren't talking about how it won't be good if I couldn't fully recover?
No, it's not good if you're going back to your parents' house, because then you'll tell your parents about me, won't you?
What? I'm not going to tell them anything about you. I'll only tell them how I have been.
Okay, well, please don't ever do that.
Well, I did already tell my parents, though. But I'll just keep quiet about it for now. It will surely be a hassle if Howard finds out.
To think about it, the pasta and the salad looks delicious.
I mean, that's not the point. My husband then repeatedly said things to put me in a better mood, but he never showed any concern for my injuries. Then, the next day, my husband came back home really drunk. Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, hey, I'm a thoughtful guy, aren't I? I went out to dinner so you wouldn't have to cook me dinner.
No matter what I say anything to a drunk person, they won't really understand since they're just drunk. But I really just can't stand this. My husband's suit smelled really bad. This must be the remains of what came out from his mouth. Who is going to take this suit to the cleaners?
Huh?
I questioned Howard while I gave him water. You can't really put this to the cleaners right away, can you? You did vomit, didn't you? You have to wash it away once with water before you take it out to the cleaners.
Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
I'm telling you since you were the one who got stupidly drunk and vomited all over.
Excuse me? Excuse me? What are you talking about?
What the hell is wrong with you? Anyways, you better wash it away with water, dry it, and take it to the cleaners, okay? Don't you dare put it away in our closet like that, because the smell would get to all our other clothes.
You've gotta be kidding me. You're just a housewife. How dare you talk to me like that? Who do you think you owe your life to?
Excuse me? What Howard said made no sense to me. My husband treats me as a housewife, but I am just on leave. And I have been told not to push myself too hard until my injuries are fully healed. But even when I'm in this situation, I was thinking of my husband and did all these house chores, as much as I can. When did anyone say that I quit my job and became a housewife? Howard really must be stupid. You know, when you say housewife, who are you even talking about? I mean, how you say that is extremely disrespectful to an actual full-time housewife. I'm just taking a rest now due to my injuries, and I'm not even close to being a full-time housewife. And besides, those who are doing house chores and being a housewife on a full-time basis could actually earn more than $100,000 per year, you know.
Are you saying that I'm not earning enough here?
Why would you say that? I mean, I never said that. Because of my husband's rage, which he had towards me, he turned the glass of water he was holding to me and tried to throw the entire glass at me. But, probably because he was unable to control how drunk he was, he slipped his hand, dropped the glass on his own feet, and cried in agony. Ha! That's funny. What goes around comes around. Look, this is how you do it. Saying that, I took the glass of water which was in front of me, and splashed the water as hard as I could onto my husband's face as he looked up at me.
What the hell are you doing?
I was just setting an example of what you wanted to do to me. Well then, I'm going back to my parents' place. Don't ever think that your lifestyle that you have right now is going to continue, okay? I left the house as I left my husband. Howard tried desperately to catch up with me, but there was no way he could catch up with me with how drunk he was, and I was able to leave the house without any issues. My parents were surprised that I suddenly went over to their house at night, but they welcomed me in without a word, and I was able to sleep deeply for the first time in a long time that day. And well, I understand that ignoring Howard's calls will not get me anywhere. So the next day, I had no choice but to pick up my husband's call.
Did you reflect back for what you did yesterday?
That was the first thing he said. And excuse me, but he's the one who should reflect back to his own actions.
You really did a terrible thing yesterday. I even got a dark bruise on my feet.
That's because you dropped the glass on your own foot, right?
And what did you do after that?
I wondered if he was talking about the fact I splashed water on his face. Howard should at least be grateful that I didn't throw the entire glass at his face.
You left your injured husband behind and went back to your parents' house, right?
Huh? So that's what he was trying to get at? I thought I was going to be blamed for splashing the water on him, but it seems he didn't like the fact that I left him there.
It's very questionable that my wife would leave the house without caring for me as her husband when I'm all injured.
How could you even say that to me? Compared to your stupid little bruise, I have bigger injuries here because of the fatal accident that I was involved in. Yet you just pressured me to do house chores without caring about me, didn't you? How dare you talk to me that way?
I accepted you into our home, and I didn't send you back to your parents, right? I felt like I fulfilled my duties as your husband by doing that.
No, you didn't support me or my injuries at all. You only just brought me back home, that's it. My parents agreed to your idea, too, because they thought you would fully take care of me. If they had known from the beginning that you were going to just leave me alone, they wouldn't have made you brought me back here, you know.
Whatever.
I'm so disgusted by how Howard said that.
You owe me an apology.
Wow, he really doesn't try to understand where I'm coming from, huh? I'm really ashamed of myself for not realizing that for so many years.
I actually quit work too.
What?
If you want to beg for my forgiveness, then talk to your dad and his hospital about hiring me. And of course, you better ask him about paying me well too. I'm your husband, and your father would be more than happy to have me as his right-hand man, wouldn't he?
No, my younger brother is actually my father's right-hand man. I mean, Howard's just an office worker. What does he even plan to do in the hospital? What you're saying doesn't make sense. What would you even do in my father's hospital?
I'll be doing sales.
What?
I'll bring customers to your father's hospital.
No. What are you talking about? All I could do was just laugh. Howard sees patients as customers? And bringing them to the hospital? First of all, a hospital is not a place like that. It's a place where people come when something happens to their bodies, and we don't do any business with them. In other words, Howard is zero use at our hospital. We don't need any sales.
What?
It's a hospital, for God's sake. And it's a hospital that's well established in our district, you know. We don't need sales, and I'm sure my father thinks that if we're going to spend our expenses on such things, we'd rather install the latest equipment and contribute to the patients who come to the hospital. Then my husband sighed really loudly.
Oh, well, then there was no point in me marrying you.
Excuse me?
I heard you were the daughter of the hospital director, so that's why I approached you.
What?
When I was in the hospital, I heard it from the other nurses. So I thought that if I married you, I could eventually become your father's successor.
There's no way that'll happen. You're not a licensed doctor, you're not a nurse, and you can't even do any medical admin work.
That has nothing to do with it. Because I'm with you, and you're the director's eldest daughter.
I mean, no matter how things turn out, you'll never have the chance to be a successor.
Huh?
Because I'm divorcing you.
Wait a minute. Why would you say that? You're the one who's supposed to be begging for my forgiveness.
Whatever. We're just going to get a divorce, okay? You'll be contacted by my lawyer later on. It was all becoming a hassle, so I hung up the phone. After that, I asked my lawyer to intervene and proceed the divorce with my husband. My husband seemed to be in a panic, because he had already quit his job, thinking that he would be hired at our hospital. Normally, I would think that the conversation we had the other day would have made him panic already, but my husband was stupid and missing the point until the end. Howard and I later got a divorce, but he claimed that I had tricked him and demanded compensation for that. But my lawyer argued back at Howard, and he immediately dropped his claim. It's not like we both cheated, nor did I commit any fraud against Howard. That man just made all these stupid assumptions on his own. On the contrary, I claimed for defamation against him, and the common property became mine, even though it was a small amount. In the end, I have no way of knowing what happened to my ex-husband after that, but I am just happy that he's gone from my life. I wasted 3 years of my life, but I am glad that his true nature was revealed to me before we had kids. I did get involved in a fatal accident, and I had horrible injuries, but not a bad ending in terms of the outcome. A few months later, my injuries were completely healed, and I am now back at work. It's been a while since I've been back at work, and it's a difficult job, but I still love doing my job. I have decided to stay away from romance for a while and focus on doing my best at my work. I am surprised that Howard, who is not a medical professional, thought that he could be a right-hand man for the director. I mean, he must have known that Penny's younger brother was a doctor. There are people with all kinds of thoughts in the world, aren't there? I hope Penny can lead a peaceful life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.